Nothing is falling apart, but nothing feels settled. There's a kind of uncertainty that shows up in midlife that's hard to explain. From the outside, life may still look the same. You're still showing up, still handling responsibilities, still moving through your days. But internally, something feels different. Less certain, less defined, less clear than it used to. And that feeling can be unsettling. Because we're used to clarity feeling solid, we're used to knowing what we're doing, where we're going, what comes next. But then something shifts, and suddenly that certainty isn't there the same way. At first, it's easy to assume something's wrong, that you've lost direction, lost confidence, lost momentum, but often that's not what's happening. What's actually changing is quieter than that. The way you used to understand your life no longer fits as clearly as it once did. There's a phase in midlife that doesn't get talked about very often. It's not a breakdown, it's not a crisis. It's a transition that hasn't fully revealed itself yet. You're no longer fully connected to the old ways of doing things, but the new way hasn't fully formed. And that space in between can feel incredibly uncertain. I remember noticing this in a subtle way. Nothing dramatic had changed. My routines were still there, my responsibilities were still there, but something felt less anchored. Decisions that used to feel simple felt heavier. Directions that used to feel obvious felt less clear. So I tried to fix it, think my way through it, plan my way out of it, force clarity. But the more I pushed for answers, the less clear things got. That's when something shifted for me. Uncertainty isn't always a problem to solve. Sometimes it's a signal that something deeper is changing. When your life has been structured for a long time, you rely on that structure without even thinking about it. You know what matters, you know what you're working toward, and you know how your life is organized. But midlife begins to reshape that. Our priorities evolve, our energy shifts, and our perspectives deepen. The structure that once gave you clarity doesn't feel as solid anymore. That's where uncertainty begins, not because something's wrong, but because your life is changing in ways that haven't fully taken shape yet. And if this is something you've been feeling lately, this is exactly the kind of conversation I share more of each week. Simple ways to move through uncertainty with more clarity and less pressure. If you want that kind of support, you can join my email list or my Facebook page. I've linked them both below. Let's keep going. Here's where it gets difficult. We're not taught how to sit in this space. We're taught to fix it, to find answers quickly, to make decisions, to restore clarity as fast as possible. But clarity doesn't always work that way. Sometimes clarity doesn't come because you pushed harder. Sometimes it comes because you stayed present long enough to understand what's actually changing. There's a difference between confusion and transition. Confusion feels chaotic. Transition feels uncertain, but meaningful. And many women in midlife aren't confused. They're in transition. Uncertainty isn't always emptiness. Sometimes it's space. Space for something new to take shape. You don't always need an answer right away. Sometimes you need time to see more clearly, and the need to rush clarity is often what makes things feel more unclear. One of the most helpful shifts you can make here is changing the question you're asking yourself. Instead of asking what's wrong, try asking yourself, what is changing? That question changes everything because it removes pressure and replaces it with curiosity, and curiosity creates space. When you start looking at your life this way, You begin noticing things you couldn't see before. What no longer feels aligned, what feels outdated, what belongs to a version of you you've outgrown. And that awareness is where clarity begins. Not fully formed answers, but the beginning of understanding. Because before clarity becomes direction, it starts as awareness. There's a quiet patience required in this stage of life, a willingness to not have everything figured out right away, to let things unfold instead of forcing them into place. And that patience can feel uncomfortable because it doesn't feel like progress, but it is. Understanding is progress, even when nothing has been decided yet. You're allowed to not have everything figured out, especially in a moment that's still unfolding. Clarity often shows up slowly, not all at once. And if you've been feeling uncertain lately, it may not be because you've lost your way. It may be because you're no longer following a path that fits the same way it used to. And that realization is the beginning of something important. Because from there, you can start choosing more intentionally, not quickly, not perfectly, but honestly. And if this is the kind of shift you're in right now, I share more of this. Simple ways to think clearly, move forward with less pressure, and feel more steady day to day. You can join my email list or connect with me on Facebook. Both are linked below. There's nothing wrong with wanting clarity, but there's something powerful about allowing it to take the time it needs. Because when clarity is forced, it's often temporary. But when clarity is understood, it lasts. Uncertainty doesn't mean you're off track. It may simply mean you're in the middle of something that hasn't fully revealed itself yet. And sometimes that's exactly where you need to be. Progress doesn't come from pressure. It comes from clarity.